Cool if I call you Sean? Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm recording now. You call me Kuang, Buster, or whatever. Probably just Kuang's easier. But welcome. I'm
Cool.
recording now, and just before we start, you're cool with me recording this and eventually posting it onto YouTube.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Okay, cool. And what you'll probably see, I have two channels. So one, I'm going to post the whole thing. That's the second channel. I call it like the mentoring channel, and then the primary one, I guess the one that most people know me from is Bus Driver. That one, I'll probably put like a clip or two that I think is relevant, and that's how you'll see it. Okay.
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 Yep.
So you reached out to me a few days ago, and I guess the concern, well, not the concern, what you want to work on here is you look at, especially content creators, you could see their account. And as far as armaments, equipment, even the commanders you're using, you feel like you're on par with, or maybe even better. But then relative to where they're at, you feel like your KP is a little bit on the lower side relative to where they're at, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Especially with my age and my account, as said, been playing probably about 4.5 years, maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it's funny because every time I'm in KVK and everything like that, I do see comments about my KP being very low for the age of my account and this, that, the other thing, and it's just like, I mean, it's true, and I don't know if I'm getting negative trades as far as the entirety of KVK, because I do average about 30 to 35 million kills of KVK. I think I could do better. Um, Now I don't know where I'm missing the mark, so to speak, but yeah, it's exactly that. Like I just see other accounts that maybe I'm on par with or even slightly better than, and they have like twice or even more KP than I do. So I'm just wondering where I'm going wrong. If it's generally just my play style, and maybe I need to focus more on like March management, or I don't know exactly where I'm going wrong.
Okay. And then you started in 2019.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, like towards the beginning of 2019, like springtime, maybe around there.
Yeah, springtime, late, early summer.
Okay.
That's when I kind of opened the account.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's actually go. Oh, well, before we start, I actually want to acknowledge this. And it's not just in the U.S. I think around the world. I'm not sure exactly where you're from. Uh,
Yeah.
it's actually uncommon for men, especially, to be able to self-scout, identify a weakness, and then like reach out and then ask for help or coaching or whatever, right? So I think that ability is very important because one, you could blame something else, right, or be in denial. Usually, it's blaming something else. But if you can continuously always self-scout and like, hey, something's not quite right here, and then try to figure it out, at the end, it's always going to work out. Okay, so I do want to acknowledge that because that's actually uncommon, and I wish it was more common in the world. So that part's really cool. Now, as far as your account, let's just go over some of the basics that you wrote, and then we'll. I sent you that PDF, and I'm gonna go over them. Actually, wait, let me screen share this with you. Right. Okay, so screen share. Okay. You can see this?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, cool. Okay. Oh no. Okay, it's still running, right? You can still see it?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. Just shut off on my end. I guess to save resources. Okay. So this is what you wrote. You spend between $200 to $300 per month during the off season, and then $1,000 plus in KVK. So I would consider that like a high mid spender.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And I mean, just the label is just a label, but so basically it sounds like at least during KVK, you're getting all the pop-ups and you're maxing at least like 2 or 3 mountain warfares, or maybe even more, right?
Yeah. So generally, I'm usually like one of the main Archer rally leads. So, sort of I personally get myself to the point where I'm able to have such an advantage for the first zone fight. So what I usually do is I do go all the pop-ups, and I do the first week of I can't remember the bundle name now.
Is it called like Conqueror's Will or something?
Conqueror's Will. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I usually do a week of that, the first week, and then after that, I'll do the 2 Mountain Warfare bundles, usually past 6 and then past 7, and then by Kingsland I'm usually max deck. So
okay, and then you're VIP 18.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. And then started playing just before COVID started. I was completely free to play. When did you start spending, by the way?
Probably like I probably started spending. I want to say like the end of 2019.
End of 20. Okay. Okay. So it's been like 4+ years.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
and I was spending a lot more at the beginning. So
okay.
I would probably be spending maybe at the beginning closer to $500 to $1,000 a month.
Okay. Okay.
So
okay.
I was doing a lot at the beginning. I'd played 2 KVK 2s at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was going to a third because the kingdom that I was in at the time, I wasn't having a good time there, so I was looking for somewhere else. And then early 2020 is where I found a new kingdom to go to, and that's where I ended up going to for about a year and a half.
Okay.
Played a KVK 2, 3, and then my first SOC there.
Okay. And then how long have you been in 1682?
I've been here for about 2.5 years now.
Okay, so it's you've been there for a while. Okay.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, you became very competitive, like the community in KVK. I think that's almost all of us, right? Okay. Okay. And then how long have you been running 5 marches? Hello? You there?
Yeah, probably after a year of playing.
I think your mic shut off for the first like 15 seconds of that.
Oh, sorry. I was saying probably after a year of playing, I started running 5 marches.
Okay. And then you said you went to 6.
So like, I think I went to where, say?
So you used to run 6?
Yeah. So I used to run 6, and I used to run 6 with cavalry. And in like last maybe year and a half or 2 years since I've been in 1682, I was running 6.
Right.
And I was running Saladin William with epic gear, and it was just getting awful trades. Obviously, Saladin has been pretty good, but he's not meta at all by any means.
Yeah.
So he was just like, he would get targeted, most likely first march to get sent back. And at that point I was just like, okay, like in order to, better my resource and speed up management, I decided to drop down to 5 and really work on my 5 sets of gear, with my worst set being like a half hybrid between legendary and epic, with that 3rd archer merch there.
Okay. And then
Boudica.
This is just kind of set up, I guess, for you and the audience more. Okay, so you've been a main archer rally lead. Your archer gear is really good for many KVKs. But now there's more archer rally leads, so you're not like the top, right? But you're still counting on to do it sometimes, or a decent amount.
Yeah, so I'm not like the go-to person now. They don't like while I'm at work call me or on Discord. Like,
yeah.
Because we need you to rally in. So I'm no longer that person anymore. So, which is good, because I've always everyone likes a specific aspect of the game.
Yeah.
And I like rallying. Don't get me wrong; it's one of the fun parts of the game. But I want to expand my gameplay a little bit, and I want to focus more on field presence and like open fielding.
Right.
So that's kind of like where I did the shift two KVKs ago, where I decided that I was going to work on, some really good sets of equipment, and just field 5 really good marches, or yeah,
Right.
5 really good marches.
Okay.
And then later on, as I get those 5 developed, work on a 6th and then eventually a 7th. If I have a 7th march to the field, so to speak.
So here I have your marches and your equipment on screen, right? You can see that?
Yep.
Okay, so
yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so you have Scipio Luce. Luce is 5553. Now Ski Joan, everything else is expertise, and then you have 3 archer marches. Okay, so the gear is more than good enough, right? The spending is there. Sounds how active? Like I guess, how do I want to word this? During KVK, when you're fighting, about like how many hours a day when there's fighting do you play?
If I'm not working, I play all day. So like I'll be on as long as there's fights.
Okay.
As I work, there's sometimes I work and like I'll either the path opens while I'm at work, so I'll get on after I work and fight for a couple hours or before. Somewhat similar, but I try to get as many hours as I can in. But like there's no guarantee because I can't just ask for days off as KVK rolls around.
Yeah, I
gotta play it around my schedule. So.
And then what about like I call it like the significant other hacks? You have a like significant other that kind of I don't want to use the word gets in the way, but you know what I mean, where you have to manage that as well.
I understand it. Yeah. As soon as she gets home, the game's turned off. So that's the other thing too. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When.
All right. Let me pull up. No, I totally get it. All right. Let's look at you up. Sapp12, right?
Sapp12.
12. Okay. Okay. So let's pull you up here. Okay, and then this is from the last KVK or the one before, I assume?
This is from our last KVK. We just came out of KVK about a week ago.
Okay, so 35 million kills. That's about like 580 million KP, 570, 580, around there, depending on the T4, T5 mix. Okay, and then what about the one before that? About how many kills did you get, or how much KP did you get?
It was about the same, about 37.
Okay.
35, 37.
And then are you hitting this like about during Kingsland if you have a Kingsland fight, or?
Generally I'm at 30 million before Kingsland starts.
Okay.
Now the last 2 KVKs we've not had a first zone fight.
Right.
Just based off of how our allies have worked out and situations in the KVK. This last KVK we had we were up against a camp that had a domain camp that was farm domain that just didn't work out. It was awful, but we didn't really get much of a fight in zone 5.
Yeah.
And so for that, like we didn't start really fighting until past 7 opened up.
Okay.
And
okay, cool. So let's go over some general, and then this is your kingdom. I'll just pull it up here. So I looked them up. I like to use 1093s. I forgot what. Oh, I mean it's right here, the title, but it's actually kind of hard to find if you look it up through Google. But you know, whenever you plug in a kingdom, you can see. And I think they update this once a month. So they'll pull up your total cap power, total KP, and then just rank it. I think by power. Right now it's by power in the kingdom, right? So I would consider this like a mid A seed. It's like a solid A seed, right? And in a mid A seed, you can fight low Imperiums. You can fight like seeds that are lower than you. You actually get a huge range of kingdoms that you get to fight. So I'll just kind of sum up my thoughts on this. And a lot of times once I start talking, I'll actually kind of figure out the direction of the momentum. So first of all, this is a zero-sum game, right? So you mentioned this earlier about KP. If you're trading positive, it's at the expense of someone else. Someone is trading negative. Like not everyone is going to trade positive. Okay.
Right.
So with your gear and your spend and your armaments, let's actually pull that up. I actually agree with your assessment. It should be higher. Okay. I would say if I was looking at this, and let's just say you got to play 5 for 30 hours during a KVK. Right. The way I like to think about it a lot of times, just because factors that are outside your control, matchmaking, Diplo. Right? I had a few KVKs where straight up there was just no fighting, or maybe I got 10 hours at most. You just do the best you can, but like what else can you do when there's no fighting? Like it's very one-sided, one way or another. Like an opponent refuses to fight you. Unfortunately for me, the last kingdom I was in, there was a lot of problem. Well, leadership pretty much like gave up or retired, and we didn't know, and our whole camp pretty much didn't show up to fight, right? So you just did do the best you can. That's outside your control. The things that you can control, your equipment, your armament, your technology that includes crystal tech. People like to think of them as separate, but they're actually all part of the same pot, right? Because a point of attack, whether it's from crystal tech, from your equipment, for your armament, still adds a point of attack. It's not like they go in different buckets. So it's very common. You'll see people with very good equipment and then they're very mid or below average armaments because they don't like the armament system, right? If they get over that block, what they can gain from the armaments will be way more, like essentially like per dollar spent or per time or hour spent, as opposed to just still fixating on more and more equipment stuff. So you have good equipment and armaments, right? Like there's obviously people like whales especially that have stuff that's better, but it's more than good enough to, like, if you wanted to pull like 2 billion KP in a KVK, it should be happening, right? So
Right, and that's where I'm like, that's exactly where I see the problem.
right, okay, so it's
Like I should be getting it, but I'm not getting it, and it's like, where am I going wrong?
yeah, so we could talk about this because like there's stuff I see with your equipment and armaments, even maybe like pairings, like there's some, I don't want to call them micro optimization. You can get some optimization out of it, but it's already good enough, like more than good enough. All right, so we're not going to focus on that first. The other one is your ability to sustain on the field. Okay, so to sustain on the field, one, you need resources and speed ups. And do you have resource challenges when you're in KVK? Like how much? Okay.
I usually
Okay.
I usually have enough. Like like currently in my, like right now I don't have resources in my on my account, but it's, we just got out of KVK and I haven't done my farms yet,
Yeah.
etc. etc. But I usually carry, I think I have about 10 billion,
Okay. So okay.
resources in the bag. So it's
Okay. Like total or per resource type?
per resource type.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
resources is not a problem for you.
Gold is probably a little lower than that, but like,
Yeah.
you get the idea. Like
Okay.
I have quite
Yeah.
a bit in the bag. So
Okay, that's not going to be a challenge. Okay, and then speed ups the same, I assume.
speed ups are the same. I generally don't keep like training speed ups or anything like that. I don't
Mhm.
save. I don't go for like zeniths or anything like that. I think they're a
Yeah.
waste.
Yeah.
My opinion on zenith skins are, I'm not spending $5,000 on 5%
Yeah.
stats.
No,
There's just absolutely
they're
zero chance that's happening.
they're for most people a waste. I agree. It's crazy what people will sacrifice like in other parts of the game to go and push for zenith, but you know it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the other one is the amount of time you get to play. All right, so it sounds like work comes first. Obviously, you gotta feed yourself and the family. And then when you don't work, you can play all day. So about how many?
Generally, yeah.
Okay, about how many hours? When they're see, like this is hard to quantify.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every day is different.
Yeah.
I do like to try to I do my dailies every day. So, whether or not it's after work or before work, I make sure I get the dailies done.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about
getting,
more about during KVK when there's fighting, like because actual time on the field, because your equipment could be like another 20% better, right? But if you just don't have enough time on the field, it doesn't matter. Like you could have the
right.
like the best, you're doing everything you should. Literally, you just like you're gonna get a certain amount of kill points per hour, right? So like that's actually one way.
This is the thing. Like, if I know there's going to be a fight or a pass opening before I start work, I'll wake up early just to go fight for a few hours before I end up going to work.
Yeah.
And then the same thing afterwards. After I get off work, I mean, I usually work 10, 12 hours. I get off work and I spend another 3, 4 hours on the game.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, if I'm working, it's a little obviously a lower amount of hours, but when I'm not working, I get as many hours as I can as long as there's fights.
Okay. And then
Um,
are you playing on a PC?
Currently, no. I'm playing on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's probably the biggest challenge. Do you have a PC?
it is. I do. Um, Look, it's the functions. I mean, everyone likes them, but I
Hmm.
don't know. I'm not a PC kind of. I've never been into PC games
Yeah.
because of the keyboard functionalities and stuff. They're
Right.
just weird to me.
Right.
Um, but I mean, it's something I could look at doing
Okay.
again,
So
trying it out.
okay.
So
So after I went to a PC, I honestly I think that's probably the biggest issue. Let's see, when did I go to a PC? I think I've actually went to a PC for the first time the beginning of KVK3. And just for reference, I came out of KVK3 with like 200, 200, a little over 200 million KP. I was free to play for maybe like 6, 7 months, and then I was just like, I don't want to use a PC. Once you use it, and it was really quick. It maybe took 30 minutes to get used to. You're like, oh my god, what the hell was I doing? Like, what the hell was I I
yeah,
can't believe I was playing on the phone before. The reason why is because with a PC, the ability you have to control is so much more refined, but also you can play dot mode. I tried doing dot mode just once on a phone before, and I'm like, what is this? Like it's not the same. So in the game, right? I said this I think in an email. I didn't say it so far. This isn't a high skill game. Whereas if you watch like a first person shooter, you like the reaction time, the amount of things that they're able to do at once, and then almost like plan ahead and like
right.
shoot people. It's ridiculous, right? This isn't that type of
It's
game.
drag and drop. It's
Yeah,
drag and drop.
yeah. Where
It's
where
not.
where
It's not very skillful.
where the quote unquote skill for this game comes in is you're managing essentially like maybe 15 different systems at once. There's an equipment system, there's an armament system, there's how do you have farms, you buy resources. Obviously money helps, right? But then even when you're playing, can you manage your life? Can you show up when you're supposed to show up? If you have a girlfriend, wife, or whatever, can you actually manage that situation where it's not getting in the way of that? Right, and then putting all of that together, and then you literally just either get on voice or you follow markers, you do what you're supposed to do, you get kill points, you're contributing to the kingdom, right? But it's not like you're doing this crazy stuff where you watch someone stream like the best of the best player, you're like, oh my god, how did he click that button like that? It's not that type of game.
Yeah.
So
No.
with a PC, if you're not getting good trades, I think if you go with a PC, and I would actually highly recommend you do dot mode, just
Okay.
because the control is completely different when you're in dot
Right.
mode. Like you can see where everything is, and then once you kind of get a sense of it, right? It's probably not as exciting to watch, but when you're playing, you'll even notice like whenever you target someone, right, the screen's gonna flicker, they're gonna retreat, right? So you can even get a
Yeah.
sense what other people do, and your trades get exponentially better just from switching from phone to PC. Okay. If not
Okay.
PC, at least do iPad. I do know there's I think like even like Redline, and you know who Redline is, right? I think he actually
Yeah.
plays on
I know
iPad. Yeah, I think he plays on iPad. There's like another farmer, only farmer, or KD. She plays on an iPad. And I think she did pretty well last week. Like you can do it. I haven't used the iPad. I went from a phone to a PC, and I just never went back. Okay.
Right.
So
Okay.
when you do that, I would highly recommend just starting in dot mode right away. If you start zooming out, right, as you zoom out to a certain point, it's going to go into dot mode. You want to play in that mode because if you zoom out further, yes, you can see more on the screen, but then the
Mhm.
clicking on the dots doesn't actually get as reliable. Sometimes you'll click it, it'll seem like nothing happens. But if you zoom in as
Right.
much as you can in dot mode without going into the screen where you can see the troops, that's probably the best setting to do it at. Okay, and then
I think
go ahead.
part of the problem was when I first tried PC was it was fairly new, so
Yeah,
I'm assuming it's better now. But
yeah,
I felt that the lag between phone and PC wasn't any better.
yeah.
So I just felt like, I was more comfortable playing on the phone at the time because
Yeah,
I've been doing it for so long at the time.
yeah, that
So it
makes
was just
sense.
like,
Yeah, if I
um,
because this I think some of this was a little bit before my time. If I follow the timeline correctly, when the PC first came out, it was through something called like BlueStacks. That wasn't the official Rise of Kingdoms client, right? I think like
yeah,
Rise of
so
Kingdoms
a lot of people,
actually, yeah, eventually released their
they didn't
version.
like it.
Yeah, they actually released their version, and I think now I doubt anyone plays on BlueStacks if you have an official Rise of Kingdoms version. But the hotkeys are really easy to learn, right? So you can easily like select what's on the screen, all the troops on the field. You could group up like three, and like it for me personally, it was maybe, and I'm not some like gaming whiz, right? But it took maybe like 30 minutes just to get used to it, or even less. And
Mhm.
and then as far as the hotkeys and controls, you kind of slowly figure it out as you need it, but they're very, very helpful. Okay.
Okay.
What it really helps with though is like the refined control you get. You won't put your troops out of position, especially in not mode. It's you almost have to be like neglectful. Is that a word? To put your troops like in dot mode in a position where they're not supposed to be, because you could just see like literally your blue dots are in the middle of a bunch of red dots, right? It's over there.
Right.
So, and you can even
Yeah.
tell where one is getting close. Um, and it'll make a huge difference there. The other one I was going to say, because if you look at equipment armaments, right, essentially just all the stuff that makes you train more efficiently, that's already there, right? Then it's either whether you're using a PC or not, and then it's the amount of time you can play. So it sounds like
Right.
you can make that work. If I was going to say probably, once you get the PC down, the next part is just figuring out, like how much is it. Well, one is for me, KVK is fun, right? So like actually fighting, being in voice and all that stuff, or at least just working with the kingdom's fun. But but then once
That's how we
you,
all play the game, right?
yeah, but once you get the PC part down, then it's just figuring out, hey, you want to get more KP? Well, one, the factors that you can control. Like, can you figure out a way where you can maybe get days off when there's like
Mhm.
Kinsland or whatever, or figure it out. Honestly, part of the reason why I got into YouTube, I don't think I verbalized this when I first started, but I think instinctively in the back of my mind, I knew I was playing this game a lot and I was going to play more. And luckily for me, my girlfriend's a gamer, so she kind of understands. But
Mhm.
it's still a lot of time, right? But now, if I'm making money from this, right, it's almost like I can
It's a
justify,
win-win, yeah.
yeah, playing more. And then also, I said on stream a couple times, right? Like, there's this instrument called like a handpan. If you look it up, it looks like an alien saucer that it's $2,500 to $3,000, and I literally all the money I make from YouTube and even like this right now, the coaching mentoring, it's going to go towards that, so I can just buy her that, right? And then it's like, hey, look,
That's perfect. Yeah.
like from playing this game, I was able to acquire this thing that you actually wanted. It was like on your almost like a bucket list. So uh, again, this is actually quote unquote another skill, right? This is how that's like the tax or the money you pay so you can actually play the game more. So but if you don't use the PC, that's by far the biggest improvement. Okay,
Okay.
because I could tell you right now, I mean, I'll say on the video for this next KVK for me personally, if I don't get like 1.5 billion KP, I would be very disappointed. And what's been holding me back the last two KVKs is just lack of fighting, right? Because I know I had
Right.
enough resources to kill the KP per hour was high enough, but when you just can't get enough hours of fighting. There's just nothing you can do, right? So if it's there and then you don't get the results you can, then you have to like reevaluate and reassess. And for you, I would actually go to the PC, and then I think you'll notice a dramatic difference. Okay, but let's actually take a look at your equipment and your armaments. We can go over some stuff here.
Sure.
So, just a quick question: why do you have this set of armament and equipment on your Ash Henry and not your ZL Herman?
Yeah, that's my main rally. That's my rally march. So
Okay.
for a long time, I was running
Yeah.
that equipment and ornaments on ZL, but a lot
Okay.
of the times where Dave's like, "Oh, we need this rallied," I'd
Okay.
have to call back two marches.
Yeah.
And now I just run it like that, so
Yeah.
I only have to call back one march,
Okay,
and
perfect.
then
Okay, so it's
I can
just
run
like
it again.
convenience. Okay, that makes sense. Actually, as
Yeah,
soon as I asked, I'm like, oh god, like, yeah, that's a
yeah.
rally. That's a rallying pair.
It's
Okay.
actually one of those things that I've actually thought about is
Yeah.
swapping the gear around between ZL and
Yeah.
Ash, especially the armaments. I think that ZL would definitely um, um, improve, or not even just improve, just benefit more with those armaments.
Yeah, because your best armament and your best gear is actually on the Ash Henry. Um,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
so it's not okay. It's I just want to make sure it's not because you're like, oh, I have more inscriptions. That's why it's not. It's not better. Like the one with the unstoppable and the hunter. That's far better. Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing
Yeah.
with your level of spend and where everything's at, I actually think you should run 6 marches. Okay.
Okay.
If the trades weren't good, I don't. I mean, yes, you were running purple gear and everything. I think it's actually because you were trying to do it on the phone. As you increase the amount of marches, it becomes harder to control, right? Even on the PC, it's going to be harder to control. But when you're trying to do that on the phone, right? Because you know, when as soon as you attack and you attack someone, it'll fan out and start surrounding them. So on either side,
Mhm.
you're going to have 2 marches that are going to march themselves into a bad position. And it's very important to be able to like control that. Usually, you just pull everything back and then like reposition. At a higher level, I don't see this at a mid AC level, but I do see it at the Imperium level. I think it's just because there's more resources and everyone's on voice. The balls aren't like yo-yoing back and forth, right? It's just like, guys, push, and then you get as tight of a ball as possible, and you literally push right into the middle of everyone else. So if you ever watch like one of those like epic like fight movies or like Vikings or whatever, where they just not Vikings, like medieval troops and stuff, right? They just like run towards each other, they just clash, and then everyone's kind of intermingle with everyone else they're fighting. Uh, I
Yeah.
noticed at the Imperium level, it's actually like that. There's not a lot of that back and forth. You just push in. You want to be everyone group up as solidly as you can in the middle of the ball, and whoever could actually get that ball tighter, pushing into the middle of the other team's ball, will have at least a strategic advantage. Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I tend to agree, and I think at the beginning with running 3 archer, and this is where I think part of my problem is also.
yeah,
And I'll kind of explain, and you can either agree or disagree. But running 3 archer marches, I tend to do a lot of damage, but
yeah,
only for a short, very short period of time.
yeah,
Um, so I say that because obviously we all know that archers aren't the most tankiest march
yeah,
in the game, and they tend to get targeted pretty quickly.
yeah,
Once the enemy understands what my strongest marches are, they
yeah,
get targeted pretty fast
yeah,
because they're looking to get rid of it pretty quick. And it's for that reason I've noticed that like even my Nevsky Joan outperforms my Ash or even my ZL
yeah,
for that reason. Like going through like the reports and stuff like that, I'll have crazy Nev Joan reports, and I'm not saying my other marches aren't doing as well, but they're just not as big, right?
yeah.
Um,
So I would
and so
say
like that made.
for the
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So for this, they could know exactly what you have. That's why I think this whole idea where if you have a march that's like target a lot, right? Like one, there's like you have XY. He's just really squishy, right? So it's very annoying because
Right.
someone barely touches him, where you get hit by some skill damage. His HP just drops a lot. But as far
Yeah.
as being a target on the field, especially in bigger fights, a lot of people are in dot mode. But if you position yourself well, even if people want to get to you, the cost for them coming after you is not worth it, right? Because if they actually come after you, they're going to be way out of position and they'll get melted really quick. So you
Right.
can't do that on the phone. You can do that on the PC. Probably the iPad. I never play with it, but where you want to be is you want to be towards the front, because if you hide in the back, we all know this. You hide the back and you just target marches that are out of position, you'll get easy KP, right? But that's not
Yeah.
really
Of
helping
course.
the ball, and you don't want to be
No.
out of position like in front of where the front line is of your ball, because then you're literally just like filling up your hospital without really contributing much, right? So where you want to be
Yeah.
is always right along the front line, and you kind of push in, you push out, push in, or push out, or at I talked about earlier,
Mhm.
where or the two balls are just literally just clashing, and then everyone just fighting each other, but you're in the middle. So uh, you're doing damage, right? You're taking some damage, you're doing the debuffs and stuff, and then whichever ball wins. Like there's not actually that much skill besides just not putting yourself in a bad position, but being close to the front line. So you're dispersing the amount of like we're giving the enemy more targets to hit, but also like kind of tanking and also dispersing the damage that you're taking. Okay, so
That makes sense.
yeah, so the reason why I think you should do 6 marches is because the more marches you have, the less efficient you're going to be, right? So, you could maybe, if you're just focusing on one march, like you imagine you consolidate all this material, all your resources into one march, your equipment is going to be the best of the best, right? You're going to have top level armaments, right? And you're going to trade really well, but there's going to be a cap to your output because there's just not enough marches to do enough damage to get enough kills, right? And as you get more and more troops, right, it's going to cost more resources, it's going to disperse your material and everything, but your actual output will be more, even if it's not as efficient, right? So this game is always like a balance of efficiency and effectiveness, and some people have a different opinion. Frankly, I think they think you should do less marches. I think they're wrong, because if you just think about it from a kingdom context, if your resources, which for you definitely you could do it, your resources and your speed ups can support it, right? And you're not taking really bad trades. And let's just say you get the PC and you clean this up, you're not taking bad trades. Even if you're a little less efficient, having one extra march on the field is going to help your KP out, but it's actually going to help the kingdom out a lot more, right? We just saw the 1093, 1960 KVK, right? Numbers went, like quality numbers went. Okay, so for you, I actually made a equipment guide. You can see the screen, right? Just make sure. I actually made a equipment guide. Right now, for this Archer March, you actually want to replace this chest, because I think the revival chest is attack, right? And then when you go to the Dragon's Breath, you go from attack to health, but also more stats. That's like that's actually should have been the first upgrade from purple to gold. And then I would actually go the leadership pants too.
Yep.
Okay. And your cav equipment, you said it was all epics?
The second cav equipment was, yeah.
Okay.
I dismantled it to obviously get some iconic or awakening. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. It's not that big of a deal. Like 5 is more than enough. But just with your level of spend, and where all of this stuff is at, that would be the next project. Okay, so I would say for you, once you get this, definitely the chest, the legs. I mean the legs, because you still have the revival gauntlets, you can maybe keep it there. But after you get this to legendary, you could actually start thinking about working on another set. And I would actually start with cavalry, just because in general they're going to be more versatile. And it wasn't until very recently where the top 2 infantry marches were better than the top 2 cav marches. And with the new cav cycle coming out, I think you actually want to flex that anyways. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. A lot of people were giving me advice to go for Huo, and it was a choice between Luce or Huo, and I chose Luce, of course.
I think it's by far.
Yeah, and now with that being said, I don't really have, I don't think I have at the moment a very good second cav march. However, I was thinking maybe doing a second infantry march, only because I can swap around CPO and Luce a little bit, and because I have Guan as well.
Okay, and you have Alex?
Guan CPO, and then I have Alex, yeah.
Okay.
And I can go Luce and Alex.
So here's what there is to consider, right? So the cav cycle, if I had to take a guess, it'll come out in May. And you have Neski and Joan expertise, right? And how many gold heads do you have right now?
Not many, probably like 50 or 60.
Okay. So you could almost take a wait and see approach, right? Because let's just say I'm going to guess you're probably, if you wanted to, you're accumulating about the rate I am. When I did the math, it was somewhere between 400 and 450 gold heads per month. That's counting like the wheel, the troop specific sculptures on top of the gold heads, right? Once I caught up, I stopped spending money. That's a lot less. So if you had like another month and a half, by the time the cab comes out, even if you couldn't max them like right away, it will be within a few weeks, right? Like maybe one wheel, 2 wheels, you can max this cab. So one, you have to determine whether it's worth it. Right? And I doubt we're gonna get flops like Suleiman and whatever, right? Like or Sargon. It'll probably be really good, and then one of these is gonna be on the bench. So if you have and then so you don't have another set of gear, right? It just this is everything, and you dismantle everything else. Okay.
This is everything I have. Yeah, I've dismantled everything else. Yeah. So like, I mean, it's yeah, it's the thing is with infantry, and I understand is that infantry doesn't necessarily have a huge punch as far as damage output.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one thing I noticed actually not using Guan throughout KVK is that silence is actually still very, very viable.
Yes.
But again, it's a march that does get melted quite quick.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yeah, I would say. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was leaning towards more of like benching Guan, only because for that reason alone.
Yeah.
The other thing is too, like, you know, maybe dropping an archer march and just going with a second infantry march as well.
Yeah.
And then still working on a cab as well.
Yeah, just do 7 marches.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this is the order. Okay, so definitely like after this, freaking download the PC version right after this call and just start playing with it. Are you in KVK or you have a KVK soon?
We just came out of KVK a week ago, so
okay.
We have a bit.
Okay, so you have a little bit, because yeah, well, like with the PC version, unless you have like and this is even meant to like be unless there's some kind of like learning disability with the PC version with this gear, your spend armaments, I think you'll like. I would be surprised if you don't at least get like 2.5 your average KP just from switching to a PC. You know, I just don't. There's not even another like clear explanation for your KP. Yeah.
I mean, equipment.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah, it's all there.
Play on is.
Now, as far as your which march to work on, I'll let you decide that, because one, there's probably what functionally works the best, right? You know, if you go to Vegas, you play blackjack, here's a perfect play, right? Like there's always like the perfect, like mathematical, whatever. There's the best odds, even with a diet. And then there's personal enjoyment. This is a game. If you enjoy infantry more, like for example, I know cows are supposed to be better. I enjoy running infantry marches more. Right. So maybe they're not as like, what do you do? Like I would go what you enjoy, because it's not like there's anything wrong. I think at the very least, though, the most versatile that troop configuration for 6 marches you want to shoot for is 222. Just because for the most part, right, the second march of a troop type is going to be better than the third march of a troop type. Right, so like at least have one of each. So
I find that the same way with my Boudica. I mean, my Boudica does pretty well, but it doesn't do nearly as much as well as the other 4. So.
Yeah, and then I'll just tell you right now, like Luce, the expertise, I think he has the best expertise in the game. It's transformative. Like when you click that button and then you compare the reports and just notice the damage output, it's completely different. When I ran 6 marches, this was the beginning of January now, I haven't had a fight. Luce Alex for my 6 marches was the best march. Like it did better than Nevsky Joan. I didn't have Herman maxed, right? So I had a ZO max and an unmaxed Herman. It did better than that. It was like shockingly good. I made a video about it, and then since then, I think it's been a lot more accepted. Right now, like people recognize it as a good march, but I think there's still some resistance. I still see people saying like, oh, well, you know, Sargon Luce is still better. No, like Luce Alex wasn't just really good for what you think it's just really good. It did better than the Guan Scipio, which is actually still one of my favorite marches out there. Um, it was so if you max Lu Chen, you essentially set up a second infantry set. You already have two really good marches there, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of where
Yeah,
I'm thinking, like, being an archer rally lead, which I'm still am in within my kingdom.
yeah,
I tend to have to really think about where I need to put my gold heads and save for the next up and coming. Like, I know next archers is going to be field and garrison, which
yeah,
I care. Um, so just, I really go for the rally lead more than anything.
yeah.
And so
Something's going on with
that's,
your mic. It's like,
sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I just
oh,
want to
okay,
make sure
okay,
I
okay.
that. Um, yeah, as I was saying, it's like I need to make sure that the rally lead, I pick up that rally commander if it's meta, and make
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
the kingdom for me getting top tier MGE spots, and
yeah. You want to save for that?
is
Yeah,
that the other thing. So
yeah,
I need to be mindful for that. But with the next Archer rotation coming around, I know it's going to be Garrison. So, and Archer Garrison is always been
yeah. No, I
a
got it.
bad
Like Dido.
investment.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean Dido's not bad. It was like Artemisia and Artie. It's the same thing. They were good for a month. Dido was good for a month,
yeah. Then
and
Justinian came out,
you
and
know.
then the fun was over. Yeah,
Hmm.
uh, yeah. So just looking at this, like I wouldn't even like I don't even need to look at armaments because it seems like you know what you're doing with the armaments, right? So and you know like what you're doing with equipment. It's for me it's pretty clear. It's just a PC, but I do think you should run
Okay.
6 marches. Okay, like it'll your spend and your activity level can support it.
Okay.
Other than
I
that,
mean, if that's the switch that I need to make, then
yeah, but that is behind the PC, honestly.
yeah.
Is there anything else specifically you had a question about or wanted to discuss?
I don't think so. I think that was pretty much it. Like, I mean, commander wise, like, I mean, I didn't know if I should wait for the next cav and invest in that, or stick out another infantry march, which I already have. So,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
honestly, it depends on the next cab, right? Now,
yeah.
I actually made a
Oh,
video about this. I think if you had to take the top four calves and guess which one pairs the best in the new one, I would actually pick Joan. Um,
right.
she can be a primary or a secondary. Her active skill actually works the best as a primary. Or else you lose a second of that boost, which isn't that big of a deal, right? Because you would gladly trade that off for the increased skill damage behind as a secondary for Nevsky. But Joan could be a primary or a secondary. She has AOE, so even if you get a single target commander, uh, which probably not, but you just never know which direction they're going to go. I don't think we're going to see a smite commander for cabs. I think they're going to keep that an infantry thing, just because if you start giving
Yeah,
smite
which
to
would be smart.
yeah, I
I
think
think
if
it would be
you
smart.
I think if you
Yeah.
start giving smite to every troop type, it'll kind of take away
Hmm.
the what makes it special, right? And calves inherently, because
Okay.
of the calf tree, have more of a resistance to skill damage, right? So then you have
Yeah.
infantry, which counters that, and then what do you have with archers? You have like the best debuffs on the archers, right? You have the circular AOE. You have a lot more AOE skill damage, and I think if I had to guess the way they're going to go, that would seem like a good way to balance the three troop types, and then make them all like viable in different ways and necessary, right? But if you start overlapping like what they're good at, like if you start giving calves like 5 target circular AOE, then why even use an archer, right? So
Which is very strange in how they did the armaments, because I thought that's how they were going to target armaments by troop type. Like, because if you think about it, and like I've played
yeah,
other games similar. So, um, one game I used to play a long time ago was the Lord's Mobile, which is
yeah,
very similar to what the Rides Kingdom is, and they use formations. It's not armaments, and a lot of their formations is targeted towards different troop types and how
Yeah.
you want to configure um, cav or your infantry or your archers, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I thought they were going to do armaments, was by troop type. And obviously, we all know that infantry is tanky and
Yeah.
they can take damage, and so having like a formation that would benefit that or boost that more would something that I would implement into the game, similar to what you know Cav is like. They have good march speed, so mobility is really good.
Yeah.
Um, they got really good single target damage. Some of them do AOE. They got to like they're just very versatile.
Yeah.
They hit hard,
Yeah. So
And then obviously you have the archers that just do a lot of damage from far away, so
yeah,
to speak.
I actually think so if you kind of look, so the armament system has been out for like a year and like 5 months, 4 months, something like
Yeah.
that. Uh, when we first got these, you couldn't reroll anything, right? So you could actually get like a special inscription with shitty stats, and you just have to put it. You just have to put it on there. And even with the latest patch, right now you can do the 7-day bundle where you get 3 epics for $5 for 7 days.
Yeah.
They're making it where you can get a lot more transmutation stones. So early on when this first came out, and I think the reason why I did it, this is just like pure speculation, the reason why they made it where you can't reroll all the stuff was because if you could start progressing right away, right, at a certain point you could progress the armaments too quick, and then you just get to the end, and then you're not spending, but also like the system, if everyone kind of has similar stuff really, really quick, there's nothing to work towards, right? Part of this game is progressing. Some of the stuff could take years to get to a certain point. So that's kind of an artificial limiter to improvement. And as they're doing more and more of this stuff now, I think what they're going to encourage is for a specific troop type. Like, for example, for infantry, they're probably going to mainly be arch, right? And then for archers, it'll probably be wedge. And there might actually be something else for calves. Who knows? Right? But you couldn't do that when you couldn't reroll anything. But now you can do it, especially when you're offering a lot more transmutation stones. It's not out of the question that they're going to work towards that right now. And I think, the natural progression for this, because right now you can get a inscription for the banner, which is the bottom right, and a scroll at the top left. Right? But you literally can't get an inscription on the instrument, the top right, or the emblem on the bottom left. All right, so a lot of stuff is just sitting there. So I think they're going to start releasing ways where you can get inscriptions and build like that. Right? It's always like a management of how do you throttle like improvement in a way where when you make it easier for the people later on, they don't feel like what they did early on has gone to waste. But also the catch-up mechanism there is there. So even if you start the game now, right, and then you get to SOC, just because someone had 2 years on you with armaments, it's not like you can't at least be within range, right? Like they should have an advantage. They have way more time and money spent on that, but at least you could be kind of competitive. And I think that's like the balance that they're working towards. At least like for me, if I was designing a game and I want this game to survive and like be, have more new players come in, that's like kind of have to worry about. Like, how do you not piss off the older players who will still spend, but then also make it where if you're not discouraging newer players from coming in.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think about the game now and when I first started and how it's changed.
Yeah.
I would be very, very, very turned. Like, I don't think I would start the game at the current level it's at now, only because I think it would be too hard to catch up to where everyone else is, especially in SOC. Not saying it's not doable, but I think the money spent would be more significant when I first started.
Yeah,
like I'm telling you, when I first started, like you couldn't even move your marches on the field. You had to target
oh wow, okay.
Structure. Yeah, that's how early I was playing the game.
So was it Rise of Civilizations for you, or is it Rising Kingdoms by then?
I think it just changed the name before I started.
Yeah, I think one of the mechanisms they have, which is really smart, is like KVK 1 through 4. You're just fighting kingdoms in your continent, right? And like, yes, you can migrate back, but there's still like barriers for migrating back. So, for every real like good whale that migrates back, you get a lot of players that are just not that good, but they had time in the game. So when they go back, they beat up on other people. So you get a lot of not good players that have better stuff
Yeah.
than the new players that are in, and you get a mix of that. And it's uh I think KVK 1 through 4 is like a magical time personally. You know, it was just because you're
I
literally
think so.
just
When you're first starting the game,
yeah,
I think it is. And like I will say this. I've played KVK 2 four times.
yeah,
And as long as I play the game and as many times as I played SOC,
yeah.
don't if you're anywhere in the game, don't go back to KVK 2. Just
Yeah.
don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, unless that's your first
Um
time, then you have to go through that experience.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean I just think that it doesn't actually like my thought process about going back was I can work on commanders that I will need eventually. But what really quickly happens is that those commanders that you're working on become very irrelevant.
Yeah.
Um, Sort of like Alex and I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
Juan is probably the only commander or YSG too would be the only two commanders that I would say that I maxed early that I used significantly throughout my entire
Yeah.
playing career, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just everyone gets this idea that like I can go back and work on this and work on that, and like unless you're actually going back for like maybe even working on equipment, because equipment is a tough thing to do if you're not spending a huge amount of money into it. Um, it's not. I don't think it's beneficial for anyone. Like even
Yeah.
improving KP, it's just like you're not really. There's always going to be that whale that will outperform you,
Yeah.
right? And I just don't think that going back to bully anyone to get good kill KP is a good thing for anyone's account. It's just and that's my opinion and like that's my experience that I regret going back those 4 times
Yeah.
because I felt like maybe it did handicap my account quite a bit.
I think that's the sentiment I hear a lot more than the other one, right?
Yeah.
Also, something changes when you go back. I feel like it's the same where a player's like, oh, I'm just going to migrate to a dead kingdom, win some MGs, build my account, and come back. Like for the most part, they don't come back, or right? It's just
No, no.
like you don't go down in competition to step back up in competition later. Usually they just don't step back up in competition, where they just quit the game. So yeah, but that's again, that's an opinion. It's not, it's a subjective opinion. I think it's based on some observations. So yeah,
I think so. If I wanted to do anything over again, I would want to play like my first SOC again. That was really fun. We were very underprepared for it as a
yeah,
kingdom.
yeah,
We didn't like Crystal Tech was obviously very, very new at the time,
yeah,
and no one really knew the strategy of how to do Crystal Tech, what to invest in, et cetera, et cetera. And like even the Crystal Tech as it is now is much different than it was back then. Um, but like if I wanted to go back to do anything again, it would be playing SOC for the first time again because it was actually really fun.
yeah. That was really fun. Well, it was it was fun and challenging for me because everyone, especially the players that migrated back, got their SOC commanders, right? And I was a native,
Mhm.
and I remember I struggled so hard. That's probably the most money I spent in a KVK. Probably about $800, you know,
Mhm.
maybe more. I don't know. And I was grinding, and I didn't even get my 500 mil achievement until after Kinsland was over. Right. And I remember when I hit it, it was like one night, it was, there's maybe like a week left, but I'm like, oh my God, like finally got it. Right. And then by the next KVK, little fighting we did have, I think I got it on like the second day of fighting. This is before past 7 even opened, but just like being able to catch up in commanders made such a huge difference. But in KVK 4, like you're just piecing together what you have to try to at least do something. And yeah, it
Yeah,
was,
I mean, to me, there's no difference between playing like the first 3 or 4 SOCs than playing, KVK 1, 2, and 3.
yeah,
You still get to work on, your commanders, the SOC commanders, which are the meta commanders,
yeah,
and like you get better accessibility to KVK equipment, armaments, all that kind of stuff. Just the rewards for KVK in SOC are just way better
yeah,
than the other rewards.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, that's why I would never go back again to
Yeah, I wouldn't go back.
a younger kingdom.
If I did, it would just probably be a new account. I just you know, kind of test some theories. Like, okay, if I could go back in college, what I would do different, right? Like, it's like if I could start over, I was a low spender, what I would do, and then once I probably make it to like KVK 3 and 4, I will probably just convert that over into a farm or something if I did that. But
Yeah.
right now, that's not in the plans. Okay, so let's actually cap this. Summarize this. Get a PC, and then I would you definitely need a chest for the third Archer March. Beyond that, it's up to you whether you want to build more there. But after that, I would strongly consider going to a third March. And you can do, if you already have Guan and Alex, that's like a very easy transition. And then when the cav comes out, right, probably going to replace Nevsky. We'll see who it is. But then you'll also still have like a really good cav commander that you could potentially use as a second cav march. I would not dismantle any legendary. I don't think you plan on it, right? Like, just because, let's just say you want to do 222, right? Don't dismantle the archer gear. It's just something where, who knows, maybe in the future you could dismantle legendary without losing it, or you could actually eventually run some marches, because your spend is right on the borderline right now, where if you wanted to run 7 marches, you could probably make it work. So, but I think 6 is definitely the spot for you, especially when you have that much resources and speeds. Once you get more efficient as far as like your trades and positioning, you'll be like, oh wow, like the 6 makes a huge difference.
Right.
And what's really cool with the 6 is this is like an earlier video I made. If you have 6 marches and you see someone else with 5 marches, they could have more KP than you. Like they could be more advanced, but that 1 march advantage is a huge advantage, right? So this doesn't really help KVK, because, you know, like when you are fighting someone else 1v1, just like dicking around, it's not a murder ball situation where it's really that important. But you'll notice, like, way more often than not, someone could seem like they have a more impressive account, but just because you have 1 or sometimes 2 more marches than them, you wreck them in the field, right? And when you wreck them in the field, right, maybe they trade more efficiently in the ball, but you know, if they're getting wiped, you're gonna outtrade them. So it actually is really fun, and it's like a level of, for the lack of a better word, enjoyment you get as a mid spender, that you know you have this advantage over other people. Like, you're investing in Crystal Tech, you get the 6 march early. I almost always now, so I've done 3 SOCs. I actually get that 6 march unlocked before fighting in the first zone. So a zone, it's called zone 5, right? Past 4 opens and you fight in zone 5. I think every single one of those SOCs, I've actually had the 6 march unlocked, and I just enjoyed it. Now, I like this next KVK, I'm a little resource challenged. I'm probably gonna start out with all T4s, just because you get a little bit more march speed, you're more efficient. And then as you get into the Crystal Tech, right, I'm gonna start doing T5 when you get reduced healing costs. But 6 marches is a very fun advantage that you can take advantage of.
6 march.
6 marches after you get the PC. Get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then definitely learn.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely learn the hotkeys. Like, for example, like the 2 that you'll definitely need right away is like Control A. You basically just, whatever is on the screen, you'll select all of them, and then like Control Shift and A, you'll select all the troops on that are out on the field, right? Like, just those 2 is enough. And then probably the third one is just whatever you selected. If you press like Control 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, then it's a hotkey. So when you press 1, whatever you grouped into 1, you'll select it. But like, that's really the only 3 hotkeys you need. Okay, and then I would definitely recommend fighting in dot mode. Right now, when you fight on the phone, what mode? I assume you're just like, there's shit everywhere on the screen, right? You're not doing dot.
Yeah. I try. What I find with dot mode is that you don't see every single red dot. So
yeah,
I'll be standing there and I'm getting hit, and I'm like, who's hitting me? There's no one around me. And then I zoom in, and then it's like I'm right in the middle of the murder ball, kind of, so to speak, and hit by all the AOE.
Yeah, that's probably more. That's probably more where you're like, hey, I'm not getting good trades. It's because like your positioning, it's hard to position with the way you're playing right now. Like, what's really cool with dot mode, on the PC, is once you kind of get a feel for it, you don't really even react to the screen flicker anymore, because if you know you're in a good position and your screen's flickering, either the person is far away and it's not a threat, or if you do get hit, they're going to get melted. So like it actually really even changes it even changes how you fight. Like because before I got used to it, where I figured this out, right, I'm like, every time I get targeted, I'm like, oh no, I'm getting targeted, I want to retreat, right? And then as you figure that out, like I probably retreat maybe 30% of the time when I'm getting targeted, just because my positioning is good. I don't have to worry about that, right? So like that level of refinement you'll get on the PC.
I don't know if you saw this, but they actually have a new system that's it's a new TACA system.
Yeah, you can like auto attack.
It's called Attack March.
Yeah.
I think that's going to change the game quite significantly, like especially with lag and stuff like that. If you activate that and you're out in the field and you get targeted, it's just going to automatically attack back.
Yeah.
Because the thing is like when you're getting attacked and you're not targeting them, you're only doing counterattack damage. And you're not doing your active skill.
Yeah, just marching. At least you can do something back now, right?
Now you can actually do something back, which will be a big game changer, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which will be interesting. I think it will be annoying but good at the same time, because if you're marching and then you're getting attacked as you're marching, your troops will stop to attack, and then you're going to be maybe pulled out of position where you're going to get outnumbered. But I mean, I guess we'll see how that works.
We'll see how it works. I think I can see some map play, like probably like, you know, when you join a rally, like to rally a city, and then it's just marching back, and it's probably going to die anyways, you know. At least you can put up a little bit of, I don't know. We'll see about that. But yeah, but I definitely do the PC, and then like please like follow up and let me know, because I think even having a before and after with this would help a lot of players, because I don't know, it's crazy to me how many players aren't on a PC, and I'm a huge advocate for that. I think it makes a huge difference.
Okay. Yeah, no, I have it. I just don't play it on enough, so
yeah. Because you can even mess around. I know if you do like Olympia, like things like that. If you even mess around with this at Olympia, you're like, oh wow, like I'm way better at Olympia when I have PC, right? Like it's just
I'll play our next Arc League on our match on PC and see how that
goes. Just mess around with it. The Arc is a little bit more difficult because in dot mode, if I remember, I think it's because it doesn't clearly distinguish between like the allies' troops and the enemy's troops. I don't think it's like different colors, right? I think like you can still do it, right? You can still do it, but it's even easier when you're in KVK. That's when put that way. Like I find dot mode, especially when there's like a huge a mid fight, right? But I think it's harder to distinguish between like the enemy and friendly units. I think that's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
makes sense.
And also, it's a little weird in Arc, because in Arc, ideally, right, you get them low, but you don't kill them, and then they're just kind of there but ineffective. Yeah. So that definitely doing an Arc, and I think you'll notice a difference. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just test it out and see how I like it. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Is there anything else?
I don't think, and nothing from my end, unless there's some questions that you have for me.
No, man. I think that's it. But yeah, definitely stay in touch. I would love to see how the next KVK goes for you.
Yeah, definitely. I will definitely do a before and after for you. And
perfect.
Yeah, I'll get the PC up and running and get that going. And if you're like, you know, I'll at least give it a chance for one KVK. And if I still don't like it, then I mean, it is what it is. You know, I will
be shocked if you did this for a KVK you didn't like it. I'll be shocked, especially compared to the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I probably haven't given it all the, you know, the chance it deserves. As I said, like before, when I first tried it out, it was fairly new, so learning all the configurations was kind of new to me. So with the fact that you can just drag and drop on the phone is so much easier, and like with having to push certain keys, and I don't know, it would just turn me off completely. But I will definitely give it a shot.
Okay. Cool. Other than that, looking forward to seeing your if anything, I would like to actually make a video out of it, like a before and after, so definitely let me know. Yeah, no, I'll definitely do it for you. I think it's
if anyone else out there is in the same position, they can definitely learn from this
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, get better KPs.
Yeah.
It's just using a computer rather than a phone.
Yeah. All right, man.
It's so trivial because it's so easy, such a simple fix, but it's you know, not many people.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just need someone else to tell you to do it, and then you're like, okay, you know. So yeah. Oh, I did want to say one thing. So right now you have 2 accessories missing. Do you have like a flag or something that you can always make?
Yeah, so I have a flag, and then I have the Lane's amulet.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
I used to have the what you call it, the other one, the other epic one that was really the minus
Oh, the silent trial.
the silent trial. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But then someone told me that it was useless now because rage is so easy to generate that like taking away 10 rage is just useless. It's
It's not. I mean, yes and no, because like it actually triggers after you hit the rage cap, right? So rage cap is 220. So no matter if people overrage, like if they get say like 400 rage in that turn, right? You're still gonna take away 10 rage after they hit the rage cap. So I would say it's not useless. It's just that it's hard to measure the effectiveness. You can't directly see like a damage mitigation or anything like that, right? So I mean, it's better than nothing. And obviously, I'm not advocating for it to be something you want to run at the end game. You have a chance to upgrade, but I guess my thing is like you have anything in your accessory slot.
The
Yeah.
other thing too that like, and I know the answer to this because I'm trying to benefit my field marches better more, but being a rally lead, you know, I'm looking forward to awakening a lot of my equipment, all my Ultra marks, right? And this is where I'm torn, and I haven't done it yet, but like, whether or not I want to do another horn or awaken my horn, like the Horn of Fury there, or what avenue I should go, you know, boosting another 1.5% health on my marks there would be very significant for any rally or even my field march.
Yeah.
But
so
then again, putting a horn on, say like my Nevsky, would also benefit my Nevsky even more too. So
yeah, so that actually the answer there diverges a little bit, because if you're looking to make one march better at the expense of your open field, like it's like if you focus on the horn, right? Like it's the amount of blueprints, the material that you're saving up to put into that, as opposed to say building out a 6 march, like they're not synergistic. So you almost have to make a decision there.
right.
I can't tell you, like I'm just a field grunt. I'm not doing any rally or garrison, but if you are, that's a different decision making process there.
Yeah, it's a tough decision. I think in my perspective, I think I'm gonna put a horn on my Nevsky. So I'll craft a horn because, you know, like as good as 1.5% health would be, I think the extra rage on my Nevsky would be so much better.
Yeah.
And beneficial just for the 5 marches and in general.
Yeah.
I think it's just a no-brainer in my mind, but could be completely wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, for most people, for people that are open fielding, it's definitely going on a Nevsky as opposed to critting a horn. But you know, I'll let you make that call. But if it's for open field, yeah, you just want another horn.
Yeah, and I think that's the way I'm gonna go.
Yeah. All right. All right, man. Definitely stay in touch, and please let me know your progress in a few months. Or just stay in touch. You know, if anything, like, you know, whenever you're hopping on stream or messaging game, you know, yeah, just keep in touch.
I will.
All right, man. All right. Have a good day.
All right. You too.
All right.